Hello everyone, Minute Plus Meditation here, Saturday, April the 22nd. So in the Acts of the Apostles, practical problems arise in the church very quickly because why? We're human beings, right? So during these days, when the disciples were increasing in number, the Hellenists complained against the Hebrews because their widows were being neglected in the daily distribution of food. Practical problem. So before this becomes a real source of contention and arguments, break out, the 12 called together the whole community. And basically, they said it is not right for us to, do this particular work because we're called to be leaders amongst God's people. So basically, choose 7 wise individuals, and they did. So when they chose, this is the diaconate, the institute. It is the manifestation of what Jesus undoubtedly talked to them about because he had to tell them how to run the church. They couldn't have figured. I'm sure they couldn't have figured it out themselves. So he gave them, directions and so on. And so they picked 7 men: Stephen, a man full of faith; Philip, Prochorus, Nicanor, Timon, Parmenas, Nicholas, a convert of Antioch. They ordained them as deacons, called to serve the community. So I've heard this before, but the more responsibility you have, the less responsibilities you should have. And the apostles, it's not that it's beneath them, but if they're doing all of this, then they can't spend the time they need to in prayer and leading the people as apostles, and overseeing all of this. So they choose the deacons to help them. And this is it's kind of like it's called the Jethro model, or I call it the Mosaic principle, but probably the Jethro model of the Old Testament. Remember, Jethro looked at Moses. He's sitting there all day judging everything. People are exhausted. They're tired. Moses is tired. He says, "What are you doing to yourself? You're tiring everybody out, and you're going to kill yourself." So pick leaders, and delegate your authority. Don't abdicate it. Delegate it. Let them deal with the responsibilities. You deal with the responsibility of overseeing all of the leaders amongst your people. And this worked very well. It was a win-win situation, and that's precisely what you want to arrive at. Well, the diaconate was a win-win. So, and it continues to be so to this day. However, if you're not a deacon, of course, we're all called to serve in our own way. Okay, so after that, then we go over to the Gospel, John chapter 6. We continue 16 to 21. So after feeding the crowd, he sends the apostles ahead of him in a boat. A huge storm comes up, and then the sea became rough because the strong wind was blowing. Sorry, it was my mistake. They all got into a boat. Not that he sent them ahead. That's another story. So when they had rowed about 5 or 6 kilometers, they said, "Oh no, I got to correct myself again." Sorry about that. So Jesus did send them ahead, and then he comes after them later. So apologies for that. They saw Jesus walking on the sea and coming near the boat, and they were terrified. But Jesus said to them, "It is I, do not be afraid." Then they wanted to take him into the boat, and immediately the boat reached the land toward which they were going. So Jesus actually, in this case, it's another case where he shows them who exactly he is. He's multiplied it. If that didn't convince them enough, he then walks on water, and he calms he kind of dominates and overcomes the powers of nature, which would have amazed is not a strong enough word, the apostles. And then he gets them right through the storm, and he brings them right to the other side. So they wanted to take him in the boat, and immediately the boat reached the land toward which they were going. But don't kid yourselves, they would have known this was not a natural occurrence. If you start here and you're here, and Jesus walks on water, and you want to go to here, and all of a sudden, boom, you're there. It's like just like that. That's not a natural occurrence. So the apostles had to know. Maybe they didn't all figure it out 100%, but they had to know that Jesus did this for them. So you and I, we know we're going to be caught in storms. Don't forget to call out Jesus. Call out to Jesus. Maybe he's not going to save you from the storm, but he's going to get you through the storm. And for all sorts of reasons, he doesn't always, save us from it. but he will always save us through it. But the important thing is you and I, we have to ask, we have to pray, and we have to persevere in prayer. God bless you.